Our guests of honor this evening, Her Excellency Robina Marks, High Commissioner for South Africa in Sri Lanka, Lankabhimani Dr. A.T. Ariyaratne, Deshamanya Mahesh Amali. Distinguished past chairpersons, valued members of the Chamber of Commerce, Director General Mrs. Dara Wijayasuriya, the Secretariat of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, distinguished invitees, and I recognize Honorable Minister Harsha De Silva, ladies and gentlemen. Ayubowan, and a very good evening. The conclusion of the annual general meeting of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce signaled the commencement of its 181st year of business and the induction of the office bearers for the year 2019 and 20. I would like to thank the membership for honoring me with the opportunity to chair the board of this august institution. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate Vice Chairman Vish Govindasamy and Deputy Vice Chairman Duminda Kulangam on their respective appointments to office. I stand deeply indebted to Mr. Rajendra Tyagaraja, past chairpersons, and my colleagues on the Board of Directors, Committee, and Secretariat for their committed and enduring service to the Chamber over the past years, and for the unstinted and collegiate guidance and stewardship made available to me at all times. While being humbled on the occasion of being inducted the Chairman of the Chamber, I stand firmly by the belief that the event of significance on an evening such as this is not the induction of an individual or individuals, but the reiteration of the continuity and sustainability of this great institution which celebrated its 180th year of existence this year. The sustainability of our chamber is rooted in plurality. Our chamber is an institution not focused on a single person, people, or companies. It consists of a membership base of 686 companies, some 46 associate chambers and associations. The Chamber's commitment to plural stakeholder inclusion has over the years established an ecosystem of influence and economic impact which spans the internal and external dimensions of our economy and has nurtured interlinkages between private enterprise, government, non-government institutions, and society at large. Occasions such as this evening also point us in the direction of reflecting on and indeed recommitting to the vision and mission of this great institution. The vision and mission of the Chamber places on us the onus of being a driving force in national economic development and social advancement within a framework of sustainable social equity. We are also called upon to be the clarion voice of the private sector, a voice which is non-partisan and which is raised solely in the national interest. Today we stand at an important juncture of our nation's economic, and should I say, and add social and political trajectory. While I use an innocuous word such as important to describe the juncture we are at, a poll around this room, indeed the business community at large, is likely to throw up a wide spectrum of adjectives, including those pointing to uncertainty and even despondence. Overall, a predominance of negativity and retraction rather than positivity, hope, and determination. Our concern for our nation's economy and therefore the long-term well-being of our people are not unfounded and are reflective of economic performance realities. We are today a $90 billion economy, and when placed within a set of 10 comparable regional peers, comprising of all SAARC nations, plus Indonesia and Malaysia from ASEAN, our economy is ranked the fourth smallest in absolute terms. This is not such a big issue, and we can in fact be proud of the fact that we hold a third rank in terms of per capita GDP. In this respect, we are also the highest ranked in terms of per capita GDP within SAARC. Of concern, however, is that the point that our growth rate of 3.7% this year is the lowest that is the 10th ranked in the same 10-country set. It is hence the going forward trajectory we need to be concerned about, especially in a frame relative to our regional peers. Our positioning relative to peers also throws the headlights on national competitiveness and the question whether we as a private sector have focused sufficiently on building competitive advantage as a pathway to growth. Last but most significantly, today our nation is threatened by the emergence of the sinister clouds of extremism and radicalization, which, if unabated, will fracture the unity and collective momentum of Sri Lanka's economy. The future of our economy, as well as our nation at large, will be what we make of it. We are born to a nation blessed with world-class talent. We have in our midst large, medium, and small enterprises who in their own right are global, regional, and domestic champions. A private sector which has collectively weathered many waves of economic, political, and external turmoil over the past 3 decades, and which has on all occasions bounced back to the trajectory of growth, creating in its wake a foundation for peace and harmony. In contrast with this resilience, the sentiment of despondence instills myopia in vision and stunts creativity, a counterproductive vortex which will take us deeper into mediocre economic performance, unless abated. The call of the hour is therefore to have no forbearance for despondence. If we are truly the engine of growth of the Sri Lankan economy, we need to be resolute in our belief that as a collective, we have the capacity to re-mobilize a growth trajectory which at least is on par with our regional peers, if not ahead and more rapid. Each action we take individually may admittedly be a small step of faith as opposed to a giant leap. But collectively, we will make strides. It is hence imperative to catalyze a wave of economic resurgence and to do so with positivity and determination. Resurgence which envisions the return to growth rates of 7 to 8% within the next 5 years. Resurgence which also places us in a leading position in terms of growth, competitiveness, and social development indices relative to our regional peers. In fact, today, 17 committees within the Chamber ecosystem are working on bringing together a private sector-led action plan towards reaching a $140 billion economy, combined with 7% growth rates and regionally benchmarked social development indices by the year 2025. In line with the vision of the Chamber, our aspirations for economic and social advancement will be indelibly anchored on the fundamental of social equity. Leading the resurgence, as opposed to hoping for brighter externalities, is the mindset change we in the private sector will need to undertake in these times of uncertainty. We must also lead the way in epitomizing and protecting national unity and harmony, leaving no room for the embers of irrationality and opportunism to disrupt this very determined and forward journey. We are honored to have with us this evening Her Excellency Robina Marx, who will share with us learnings from South Africa, including the role played by the private sector in building national harmony over the past decades. It is indeed possible, in the contrary, to seek refuge in a view that the fracturing of the political and social environment is beyond the control of the private sector. But do we not also subscribe to the common wisdom that the root of all problems lies with economic fundamentals, either in the form of disparity or in the form of distribution? Do we not also simultaneously pride ourselves in being the driving force of Sri Lanka's economy? Herein we must see a paradox between what we claim to be and what we deliver. And as drivers of the economy, we need to seek out and eradicate all those instances of social inequity which underlie the imbalances and disturbances to our macro environment in the medium and longer term. We need to be resolute in our commitment to be leaders of the solution rather than take refuge in being part of the problem. Leaders create certainty for followers to build on. This opportunity to create our own certainty starts with big business and percolates down to micro-enterprises, which form the nucleus of social and economic development at provincial, district, and village strata. Indeed, the wisdom of Sri Lanka, Bhimani, Dr. Aryaratne, may point to the village economy being the catalyst of certainty, permeating positive energy bottom up rather than expecting that energy to come top down. Dr. Aryaratne, as we all know, has invested well over 5 decades in building a grassroots empowerment and welfare model with village as the nucleus. We look forward to learning from him as to how business, large and small, can play a more impactful role in the elimination of asymmetries which fracture social equity and retard economic resurgence. As we move forward into the 2020 to 25 period, we are no doubt entering an era of exponential change, a period during which we will see quantum transformation in the foundations of global competitiveness and a phenomenal opportunity for smaller and agile nations such as ourselves. The capturing of this opportunity would, however, need us to exploit with keen awareness the mega trends, realities, and tools of this emerging age. There are 4 transformatory trends which I believe will provide us a springboard to leapfrog beyond our regional neighbors. First, the ethos of inclusion, and in particular the thesis of inclusive capitalism. Second, the megatrends around the 4th industrial revolution. Third, the power of ecosystems. And fourth, the acceleration of a pervasive form of globalization. Returning to the first of these megatrends, inclusive capitalism, is a thesis which negates the contradiction between capital growth motives and social development outcomes. Growth models which are inclusive would seek to ensure that the economic impact of products, services, employment, and secondary and tertiary multipliers are relevant, available, and affordable to as many people and communities as possible. Through this approach, the seemingly conflicting objectives of capital growth versus outreach, or in Sri Lankan context, going beyond the Western province, as well as capital growth versus social and environmental contribution, are no longer compartmentalized. They are integrated within a single-minded ethos of growing business, but doing so with an objective of delivering an impact which is as plural as possible. Deshamanya Mahesh Amalin founded and today chairs a homegrown Sri Lankan organization which has delivered economic impact to every province of this country and has simultaneously established itself as a global champion. We look forward to learn from Deshamanya Amalin whether being unfazed by uncertainty, erasing despondence from his corporate ethos, and applying the principle of inclusive impact proved to be pivotal in creating a business that is truly globally competitive. Inclusion, ladies and gentlemen, is not a business model born out of philanthropy, nor is it the pathway to mediocrity. It is indeed, albeit not perfectly so, the model which underlies the richest organizations on this planet today. The internet giants of today have by design or by accident capitalized on the opportunity of inclusion, and in breaking down legacy barriers have unleashed value at global scale. Some call it disruption, I call it inclusion. The second megatrend of the 4th industrial revolution, or the 4th IR for short. I have consistently believed in the power of technology to deliver a more equal nation. That is, to bridge asymmetries in opportunity, to eliminate disparities in the access to basic human rights, such as information, education, and health, and in accumulation, the opportunity to flatten the rich-poor gradient across communities, societies, businesses, and ultimately across nations. I also believe that the plurality so established accelerates the creation of economic wealth. I believe it is by no means a zero-sum game, and that in fact, everyone is a winner in a more equal world. The 4th IR is centered on the democratization and exponential broadening of the affordability and applicability of technologies such as cloud, artificial intelligence, machine learning, the Internet of Things, and a myriad of technologies including augmented reality and cryogenics, bringing together biological and physical spheres of life. I believe that the 4th IR, if applied with an inclusive mindset, provides an exciting platform for the reduction in disparity and inequality. The installation of a modern rendition of social equity, an opportunity for smaller nations to catch up with the legacy dominions, and likewise for single country businesses to reach out and be competitive players in global ecosystems. which brings me to the third and fourth megatrends, those of ecosystems and pervasive globalization. They both ride on the outcomes of the third and fourth industrial revolutions. Revolutions in connectivity, digitization, and automation, not only of physical processes, but also of knowledge and learning. Going forward, competitiveness of individuals, businesses, and nations would depend not only on the strengths and capabilities of the individual or monolithic business, but on the power and competitiveness of the physical and virtual ecosystems of which they are a part. Thinking which is inclusive, as well as ecosystem-based, in combined with IR4 technologies, will then enable what I would call pervasive globalization. Today's technological platforms, if deployed inclusively, enable really true globalization of every possible interaction or transaction we can think of. Barriers of language, distance, and even the subject or individual-specific information domains would be rendered irrelevant. In summary, ladies and gentlemen, we are entering an era where the collective is clearly more powerful than the single. An era where the large cannot flourish without the small, and it is always more profitable to include rather than exclude. It is an era where an inclusive and non-partisan, nation-minded and context-focused organization, such as our chamber, has a very important role to play. It also represents a calling for us to align and exploit these megatrends in the interest of economic and social advancement based on the fundamental of social equity. The chamber will continue to bring together the energy and aspirations of the private sector in articulating our collective vision for the country's economy. The chamber will also enable ecosystem linkages across the full spectrum of the economic pyramid, as well as across industry, sectors, and also provide a platform for alignment, dialogue, and collaboration with the government of Sri Lanka. From government, we will seek enablement, a call for constructive policy frameworks which are designed to enable growth. We will also continue to seek transparency and consistency. We will assume as a fundamental deliverable of government the fostering of national harmony and the maintenance of law and order. We will also seek from government the setting and execution of progressive fiscal and monetary policies. The confidence espoused by the global debt market in the recent dollar bond issuance is indicative of the constructive role government continues to play in this regard. While continuing to applaud those institutions and individuals within the public sector who play a pivotal and often sacrificial role in advancing our nation, we will also call for the installation of a meritocracy and the eradication of corruption at a fundamental and structural level. Here we refer not just to the direct leakage of rupees and cents, but also the cost of bad decisions and even the cost of inaction, which are motivated by factors other than the national interest. We are confident that private sector positivity, in combined with a constructive and enabling role of government and a renewed focus on inclusive development, can rapidly transform the deficits we see in business confidence locally as well as globally. Among foreign direct investors, in combined setting a fresh trajectory for economic growth in the years ahead. As we look forward to the years ahead, we dream of a new system. It's a much used word today. We identify the enshrining of the principles of integrity, unity, equality, and an underlying meritocracy as the foundations of creating such a new system. In taking the liberty to dream, I believe we need to be committed to be the change we dream of. If we seek integrity and the eradication of corruption, it should start from within the private sector. Let us set standards which are uncompromisable. If we seek a meritocracy and a dilution of the influence of political patronage, let us create growth and opportunity for people across all parts of this country so that there is indeed no space or need for political patronage. If we recognize the importance of equality and the eradication of disparity as a foundation for peace and harmony, let us pledge our efforts towards establishing a more equal and inclusive economy. And so the list goes on. We should step forward, be positive, determined, and lead from the front. If we so walk the talk, I believe we will succeed in driving a resurgence not only of the economy, but also of a new social order and meritocracy, which will be a benchmark in this region. I thank you for your patience this evening and for bestowing on the newly elected committee, board, and myself your trust and confidence to guide our chamber into the year ahead. It is our ambition to build on the foundational work of our predecessors, to sharpen the effectiveness of the chamber, and to enhance our delivery to members and the nation alike. I sincerely believe the future can be very bright. It is for us to shine that beacon with collective energy and to do so with singular focus and positivity. It is for us to envision with clarity the facets of the future we wish to create, and most importantly, to be the change we want to see. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Wish you a very good evening.